Heather from Beach Beads in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and today we're going to do a more elaborate wrap on the focal to kind of give you a different look, a more elaborate look. And you are going to need 2 coordinating wires, any color of your choice to go with your bead, or you can always go with classic silver. And those wires are going to be 16 to 18 inches long. It's always best to go longer, because if you run out of wire, that's frustrating and you basically can't grow any more wire. So always start with the 18 and you can always trim. The tools you're going to need are going to be your round nose pliers, your nylon coated pliers, and then your flush cutters. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so today we're going to work on the more elaborate wrap, and it's very free form, so they won't always turn out the same. It kind of just leads you in a direction and you just go with it. And like I said, if you mess it up, the aluminum is very inexpensive. Just cut some more and practice, because the more you practice, the better you'll get. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I definitely want to show you how to trim the wire. You'll see that it has a rough edge. So my funny little saying that I always say is cut with the butt of the tool. So you're going to back that tool up and you just want to nip it off. These nippers are meant to be sharpest at the tip. You don't have to get all the way in the body. A lot of people think that you have to cut towards the back of the tool, but these nippers are actually made, I'm just checking my ends, to cut sharpest at the tip. You're going to get the best cut, and you just do a little nip. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to start at the top by making a loop. So I'm going to get that out of the way. And I'm going to show you where I start there. And we're only going to run 1 wire down here. So only 1 wire goes through, because obviously it won't fit, both wires won't fit. And then we're just going to start out with the longest wire at the bottom. And this is kind of tricky holding everything in the beginning, but you'll get it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back wire that is not running through the bead, and I'm going to wrap it tightly around the other one. That's just going to kind of secure that wire for now. And it's going to be kind of slippery, but you just got to kind of keep handling it. Okay, and then I'm going to bring them up together. So I wrapped the wire that runs down the back, I wrapped around. And then we're going to do a slight circle. I'm going to start there. And remember, when I make my loops, I put pressure here, but I pull here. If you need to make it tighter, you can even pull it tighter. And I'm just going to come around in that circle. Sometimes I use 1 wire at a time. When you're first starting it, it's a little easier than having to pull tension on both wires. And I'm just going to lead that one around, lead that one around. Don't so much worry about your bead right now, because it's kind of slipping all over the place. So don't really worry. If you need to get your nylon pliers in there, you want to press it flat. See how when I pressed it flat, it brought that pink wire forward because it was wanting to slip back. Now, like I said, each one of these is going to be different because it's very, very free form. And I'm just going to leave right there. Okay, now what we're going to do is use these wires. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make a small loop. Again, putting pressure at the curve and pulling on these wires. So I use these 3 fingers to pull. I use that finger to put pressure on. And you're going to have to maneuver your wire several times to get it where you want it. And if the wire slips over, get on there, stand on it with your nylon coated plier, and make sure it behaves. Okay, so there I have the loop that I started. That is going to be the one at the bottom. Okay, so again, you want to hold what you're working on and just slightly bring it around here. Okay, now is where you decide what you want to do with your leftover wire. You see that I kind of arced this way. The good thing is if you're like, oh, I just want a small loop and I want to arc, you just back it up. Now, if you see how you have those curves in there, aluminum's like Play-Doh. You go in there, get your thumb, and just work that out. I definitely want to show you how to work the kinks out in aluminum. That's why I did that, because it's very forgiving. Okay, so now you can decide, kind of work it to see where you want it to come. If you want it to arc up more, you just put pressure in the bend. If you want it to come further around and then come up this way, you can do that. It is so forgiving. You can back up, you can restart, just to kind of see like what design you want to come up with, because a lot of times we start with one thing in our head and we end up with something totally different. So I'm going to do a slight, notice I'm holding onto this, a slight curve, and then I'm going to move these wires out of the way, and I'm going to sneak underneath that loop right there with that wire. Just sneak underneath, come back with your nylon coated pliers, make sure your wire's sitting the way you want it to. Just like that. Then I'm going to kind of come up a little larger than that and come around. So you see I have the bigger loop. Now if you don't like that, you can pull it tighter and make it closer. It's whatever your eye likes. This is very freeform. Sometimes it's hard to do freeform, but the good thing is if you don't like what you do, you just back it up with aluminum. It's not like regular wire where you are going to be stuck and cut and start all over because you made a dent or anything like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and swirl these wires so I can kind of see where they're going to lay, and then I'll see what I'm going to do with these. Each one, like I said, is different, so don't be hard on yourself. It's hard to get the same thing twice. Now I'm doing just like I started every other swirl. I am targeting my area and making a small loop, and then you go in snug. You don't want to grab hard with your outer, you just want to kind of roll it up. Now if you are making marks with your tool, really try to start using your nylon coated, because the more you get used to those, the easier it's going to be. And then you won't mar up your wire. You will get used to the tension that you're going to need the more you work with aluminum, because we tend to use strength to compensate when something's not doing what we want to, and with aluminum that really doesn't serve you well, because you're going to make marks in the aluminum if you use strength. So it's like a small balance between having enough pressure and not grabbing too hard. So you see I like to roll my aluminum up with my fingers just because you have more control like that. Okay, and now you can decide where you want to come with this. And you can back it out so your loop shows a little bit more. You can also use that loop to attach with a ring if you want to. If you want to attach to a necklace, you can do that. I'm just going to come around the back here, sneak around here, and I'm going to go ahead and nip that wire the same length, and then I'm going to do swirls the opposite way. I'm going to grab at the tip, make a full circle. The key to getting a good circle without having to grab tight is targeting your area. You're going to hear me say that several times because it's so important with aluminum. If I were to hold this back here and do this, the whole wire itself would move. We want to just target that area right there, and I'm going to go in snug and just roll it up. Roll it up, snip And then you can decide, do you want the swirl going that way? Do you want it going that way? I think I'm gonna go up with this one. With freeform, it's just one of those things that you just have to kind of make a decision and go with it. Like I said, if you don't like it, you just cut it and start over. And I'm gonna swirl that up there. And I'm gonna swirl that there. And then you can kind of figure out like where you want everything to lie. Now you could also cut a longer wire and do something more elaborate down the other side. It really is, you know, the world is your oyster when it comes to wrapping. I'm just going to kind of play around and see if I can get this looking the way I want it to. Never turns out perfect the first time, just so you know. You kind of have to work it and figure out. You can also change direction, like if you want that swirl there. That's the good thing. With aluminum, you break all rules with wire. You can change the direction of your swirl without compromising the strength like with regular wire. Now you can see this one's a little bit different. You can always trim the wire if you want. It's a different size bead, so it's a little bit bigger. So I went a little bit more elaborate because the width of the bead is a little bit wider, where this one is a little bit more narrow. So if this is a little bit too elaborate for you, make sure to watch our Monday video where I do a simple wrap also. So that wraps that up. Okay, we just finished the elaborate wrap, and the kit price on that is going with the wire, with the 2 coordinating wires, is going to be $39. And you can contact me either via my website, which is SC, like South Carolina, scbeachbeads.com, or you can also, there's a link on that front page where you can go right to Facebook and contact me there. Right now I am selling mostly on Facebook. If you see one of the focals you like that I post, you just comment sold in the comment and I will contact you for your email address, or I can take a credit card over the phone, whatever easier for you. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.